Hello and welcome to this episode of Raising Teens. And today I'm joined by Jinadu and Katharine Hill, so welcome to you both. Every parent knows the struggle of helping our kids prepare for exams, and today we've got a letter from a dad. My 15-year-old is going to be taking his GCSEs next summer, and honestly, all he seems to want to do is lounge around on the sofa in front of the television. I keep telling him he's lazy, he's not going to sail through his exams that way. How can I motivate him to begin to work for these exams? Because all my efforts to help him improve are interpreted as attacks and criticism. Now, you brought up 3 boys. I'm sure you've never been through anything like that, Katharine.
That sounds incredibly familiar to me, particularly with one of us. I think as parents, sometimes, we have 2 types of kids, don't we? We have those that work so hard, they're getting up early, they're getting really stressed because they're worried about exams. And then you have the other extreme, and this is what this dad has got. And one of ours was exactly like that. We'd say, you need to go upstairs, you need to do some revision, and then we'd hear his guitar playing, and we think, oh my goodness. And it's hard.
Philip, do you have any kind of resonance with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the idea of the 2 different sides of the spectrum with one of my children, it's been very much a case of trying to find out what's going on behind the lack of energy behind work. So sometimes children are experiencing insecurity. I don't feel like I'm succeeding at this. There's no point in trying. And sometimes it's just that they haven't really got the fact that you really have to work. And so trying to find out why is it that you're not working like I want you to work, what's behind that has been one of the issues that we've sort of looked at.
And I think that's really good in terms of looking behind the issue. Sometimes, actually, with one of our children in particular, I was on his back and he said, "Mum, I'm doing it at school." And actually, he was. And out of all of us, he was probably the most able one. And I was always nagging him. But actually, I didn't really need to because stuff was going on at school. But that was not the case with the other one, who really did need a bit of chivying. But it was counterproductive because the more I seemed to nag, the less he would do. And we'd find that we were, getting into arguments, which really didn't help either of us.
I think the honest truth is some 15-year-old kids are just a bit lazy, aren't they? They just are. But just going behind it a little bit, I remember when my daughter Katie came home with her GCSE results, and Katie was very academic and she got like 9 A stars or something, and she opened them in the kitchen and Lloyd, who was 3 years younger, said, "I hope you're not going to expect me to do that." And Lloyd was actually equally as bright as Katie, but he resembled this 15-year-old very much. And I think it was a mixture. He was a bit lazy. He didn't fancy doing this stuff. He wanted to be playing football or doing something else. But I think there was also an element that I probably am not going to do well as my sister. And if I don't try, then I can't really fail. So it was a bit deeper than apparent. Do you think that's possible?
No, I absolutely do. And I think it's so easy as parents to slip into comparing with siblings, and it's a bad thing to do. It puts a wedge between them. And they are all different. And some of them are going to be more creative, they enjoy sport more, some are going to be more academic. But in this season of exams, they do actually have to do some exams. And so there is a bit of a case for trying to find ways to encourage them, but not actually make it the be-all and end-all of life.
Yeah, and I think sometimes trying to find out what motivates your child. So it could be that spending a little bit of time and figuring out what do they want. And particularly if you get to the idea of actually I'd like to do such and such later on in life as a job, as a career, to be able to say, well, if you want to do that, then you need to do this. And sometimes it's providing a little bit of almost false motivation by giving them a little bit of an incentive, saying, look, you can carry on like you're doing and that'd be fine, but if you do this, this and this, then these are the special rewards that we've got lined up. Well, kind of the motivations without it being too much of a carrot and stick approach.
It's interesting. Some parents do that, don't they? They say, Granny will give you £1 for every A star. We never did that.
That doesn't sound a great deal, to be honest.
No, that doesn't sound a great deal, does it? Okay, £10 for every A star or whatever. But we didn't do that because they were so different academically. Yeah. One would have, be laughing all the way to the bank, and the other wouldn't have much money at all. So
yeah, and just to clarify, I think what we've done with ours is that actually I'm okay with you as long as you fulfill your potential, and what I'm going to reward is me seeing that you're doing your best. Yeah. So we've never done it on, there's a kind of sliding scale depending on how good the grade is. It's always been, did you work hard? And I would literally say to my youngest, for example, I said, I want you to show me that you're doing well. I want you to impress me, and I want to treat you like this, and I want to give you your £1, but I just want you to show me that you're doing your best. That's all I'm asking of you.
And the truth is that actually a lot of 15-year-old boys couldn't care less really about German or history or chemistry. They want to be out playing football, they want to be out with their friends. And it's this transition in the teenage years between, when they're little, we're going to be testing them on their spellings in the evening and doing their reading with them. But now in the teenage years, they need to take some responsibility themselves. And that's what this is all about. And this is what's happening here, actually.
They do. We looked at the issue of what's going on in the teenager's brain. I think Katharine and I were involved in that one. And the bit at the front, the prefrontal cortex, develops last. And that's the bit of the brain that allows you to defer immediate gratification for the sake of longer term good. In other words, it allows you to say, I'm not going to play football tonight or watch the television, I'm going to really do my maths homework, but that bit is still growing. And some kids don't get that till later in life, but they do get it. And I think for many parents, and perhaps this dad, it's almost a matter of keeping the relationship going, keeping that good relationship as you're literally getting them through. When you said German then, Katharine, we had an hysterical moment with my son Lloyd, who just didn't want to know. And I went to his German teacher and I said, look, how can I help this child? And he said, well, why don't you buy one of these Learn Yourself German courses? It was in those days, it was tapes. And I said to Lloyd, and I did some kind of deal with him where we do it at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning. So I wake him up. And he's also going, this time for German, Lloyd. I get him downstairs. He lies on the settee. I put this tape in and I press the button. And a voice says, Good morning, Hans. And I say, Lloyd, you've got to reply, good morning, Fred. And he's going, good morning, Fred. Well, I just turned the thing off. Honestly, I sent the thing back to the shop. And you just realise that sometimes you just can't do it for them. And you have to keep the relationship going and hope that when they're 17, 18, you're going to pick some stuff up. And for some kids, actually, it's later in life.
And you definitely don't want to be losing the relationship by, using negative criticism and criticising their person, calling them, lazy or whatever. Even if you feel like they're acting in a lazy manner, just to always try to play the long game, be patient and find the ways in which you can encourage them without crushing them.
Absolutely. No, I think that's so important. We always talk, don't we, about catch them doing something right. And if we can do that, and there's practical things we can do. So it's not always possible, particularly if we're parenting on our own. I mean, that's really tough, but trying to be around if there's exam season as much as possible. Trying to make sure that there's food in the fridge. Someone once said to me during GCSEs, keep your mouth shut and the fridge full. I thought that was good advice.
Really good.
But, there are little, I know you laugh about the GCSE German tape, but I remember buying one of these sort of bite-sized learning books for one of our boys, and actually I think it saved his geography because suddenly he could understand it in these bits. So there's practical things, but the encouragement I think is really important.
So we're talking about some big things. We're talking about we can help practically. We want to push them as hard as we can and get away with it because we want them to achieve their best. Not negative comments, and I think that's right, Philip. You can get away with, come on, with a bit more hard work, you can get this C up to a B, but you can scar a kid for life with you're such a loser. You'll never be as good as your sister unless you work harder. And then keeping that relationship going. But any last kind of tips for this dad who's he looks to be at the end of his tether, really. Do you think he's more screwed up than he needs to be? We all understand how he feels, but any tips to bring him a bit of perspective?
Well, I think actually taking the long view, because children develop at different rates. Good. And sometimes people will do not that great at GCSEs and then suddenly it'll all click for college or A-levels.
Very good. Katharine, I know in one of your books you talk about finding their strengths and encouraging their strength. Just talk a little bit about that.
That's right. I think, they're not all going to be academic. They're not going to be good at every single subject either. And it is this finding out the thing that really brings them alive, that they can do. So one of our boys really struggled during GCSEs. He was all over the place. We would go to the school parent-teacher evenings, and we think, oh, how can he improve his chemistry and his geography and all those things? And we literally just got through GCSEs. Suddenly, in the sixth form, he found a teacher that really believed in him and found that he loved history, and he's not looked back. It was like a different child. Suddenly he was motivated, and it was because he found this one thing that he was interested in. It may not be an academic subject, it might be something outside of school, but finding that thing that gives them self-esteem, that enables them to think, this is the thing I can do.
And really that little comment about it may not be an academic subject, I think it's too easy as parents to look at what we call the non-academic subjects and kind of poo-poo them. But actually, if we can find something, whatever it is, imagine art. You're brilliant at art, well done in art. When you're good at something, that actually spills over to other things. And you think, I can do this. And often the less academic child, or apparently academic, needs that to catch them doing something right. Not to scour that report for all the failures, but well done there. But it's a balance, isn't it? Because with the one child, you have to back off a little because, they're very compliant, they're dead scared they're going to drop a star. But the other lazy type, when Lloyd, night before he got his GCSE results, I got him in my study. And I said, well, Lloyd, big day tomorrow. Yes, Dad. Well, I want you to know a couple of things, son. If you pass them all, I won't love you anymore. If you fail them all, I won't love you any less. He said, If I'd known that at the beginning, I wouldn't have done any work. So it's not easy, but hey, that's why a friend of mine wrote a book called Parenting is Not for Cowards. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for joining us. And if you have a question you'd like us to discuss, just let us know. And if we choose it, we'll send you, as a thank you, a copy of my book, Teenagers, What Every Parent Has to Know. But for now, from Philip and Katharine and myself, goodbye, and we really hope you join us next time.
You have been listening to the Raising Teens podcast. For further information about our courses, resources and events, visit us at careforthefamily.org.uk.